Up next on Good Morning El Paso, we're learning more about the deadly plane crash that killed El Pasoan Tyler Francis.
We take a deeper look at the model of the plane, which has had strong safety records in the past.
After the supervisor got there, I gave him the brief rundown of what had happened.
What'd you tell him?
I told him that I had to shoot somebody. And he asked me why. I said, well, he had grabbed my gun and he had charged me and he was going to kill me.
Breaking his silence, Officer Darren Wilson says he knows he did his job right. What else he had to say about the day he shot Michael Brown coming up.
And Thanksgiving is tomorrow, which means the streets of El Paso will be filled with people for the parade. We'll get a sneak peek at some of the floats participating in the Sun Bowl parade.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
Well, good morning, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. Hope your Wednesday's off to a great start. I'm Hillary Floren.
And I'm Stephanie Valle. It is 6:01 on this Wednesday, like you said, the day before Thanksgiving. A big day for people to get out on the road today.
That's right. Let's check in with Crystal and see how the conditions are looking right now. Good morning.
Good morning. Great start outside. As expected, we have finally dropped below freezing officially here in El Paso. 31 is your temperature outside now, with winds making it feel like it's 24 degrees outside, unfortunately. So do grab the coat as you head out, especially if you'll be taking that flight, because we all know it's always cold on the airplanes anyways. Those temperatures, depending on where you fly, are going to get a little warmer along the west coast or near Florida, or a little bit colder if you move to more central parts of the U.S. this morning. In Las Cruces, we're at 30 degrees. It feels like 25 outside. Your winds are at 6 miles per hour. Now here is the good news. While your temperatures are below freezing this morning, as we've been talking about, some warmer air is going to be filtering in from the west with that ridge starting to develop. That means temperatures a little warmer today, tomorrow, and your Black Friday, even into your weekend. We'll talk about the warming trend and how high we go. Could we be in the 70s by moving into your December? We'll talk about that coming up.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Crystal. Well, let's get to the headlines of the day. Right now it is 6:02. 3 teenagers have been indicted in the shooting death of another teen last month. It happened near downtown El Paso. Last week, a grand jury indicted 19-year-old Miguel Baigodia, 18-year-old Armando Torres, and 17-year-old Gustavo Valencia. They are all charged with murder. Authorities say October 30th, Valencia and Baigodia shot and killed 18-year-old Aaron Ochoa. Torres was allegedly the getaway driver. Court documents state Baigodia and Ochoa had gotten into an argument days before that shooting. A woman is recovering this morning after being hit by an SUV yesterday afternoon. It happened on Mesa near Wrestler in West El Paso. Police say the woman was not in a crosswalk when she tried to cross Mesa. We're told her injuries are not serious.
Authorities in Doña Ana County are trying to figure out what caused a woman to lose control of her car, causing it to roll over and throwing a little boy from the vehicle. This happened Monday night. 4 children were inside, including a 5-year-old boy who was the one who was thrown. Sheriff's deputies say the 31-year-old driver told them her car went off the road near Holman Road and Barksdale Loop. The boy who was ejected was taken to University Medical Center here in El Paso. The 3 other children are at a Las Cruces hospital. No word on whether they were wearing their seatbelts. El Paso remembers Ben and Mary Jean Collins. A reception was held yesterday at Trinity First Methodist Church in West El Paso. The couple was killed after they were hit by a truck on Mesa last week. Ben Collins, who was 93, was a former UTEP athletic director and is credited with hiring Hall of Fame basketball coach Don Haskins. Police say the couple was not at a crosswalk when they were hit. The driver who hit them is not facing charges.
If you're a civilian who regularly visits Fort Bliss, you'll no longer be able to enter the post through the main gate, Cassidy Gate. Starting December 22nd, Cassidy Gate will be exclusively for those carrying Department of Defense IDs. Everyone else must go through the smaller Sheridan Gate farther north off southbound US 54. Officials say the move is all part of the security measures implemented last month. Fort Bliss officials say Cassidy Gate is simply not built to handle the traffic it sees now. The change is said to be permanent.
Another day of outrage over the grand jury decision in Ferguson, Missouri, as a police officer who shot Michael Brown breaks his silence.
We know that protesters were out in force across the country. ABC's Karen Travers is in Ferguson right now with the very latest developing now.
Let's go! Demonstrators gathered overnight at the Ferguson Police Department headquarters. County police used tear gas to disrupt some who burned a police car, and there were reports of some vandalism.
We saw some protesters out there that were really out there for the right reason. Unfortunately, there seems to be a few people that are bent on, I think, preventing this from happening the most ideal way that it possibly could.
And the man at the center of this firestorm, Officer Darren Wilson, speaking out for the first time, exclusively to ABC's George Stephanopoulos. Wilson described what he said was a very physical struggle with Michael Brown inside his police SUV.
And then as I'm holding him, I see him coming back around with his left hand, and it's in the shape like this, and it comes in through the window and just a solid punch to the right side of my face.
But you're still sitting there figuring out, how do I get out of this?
Yes. I mean, the next thing was, how do I survive? Because I didn't know
How do
if
you survive?
Yes, I didn't know if I'd be able to withstand another hit like that.
Is there anything you could have done differently that would have prevented that killing from taking place?
No.
Nothing?
No.
In dozens of cities around the nation last night, large crowds of peaceful demonstrators took to the streets, demanding justice for Brown. President Obama last night in Chicago said he had no sympathy for demonstrators who destroy their own communities.
I've never seen a civil rights law or a health care bill or an immigration bill result because a car got burnt. It happened because people vote. It happened because people mobilize. It happened because people organize.
Law enforcement officials say there are still some here who are intent on violence, but they believe the stepped-up efforts could bring a sustained calm. Karen Travers, ABC News, Ferguson, Missouri.
A live look at traffic right now. This is I-10 and Trade Center. Things are moving along fine. Again, we've been talking about it all morning. A busy, busy day on the roads. So the interstate especially, not so much in town these days. Everyone has a day off, right?
Exactly, yeah. Definitely want to be careful as you head out on the roads if you are traveling this Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, after the Wright Amendment expired, El Paso International Airport lost out on some flights. We know that.
And later, we take a look at what's being done to attract more flights and carriers to the airport. And speaking of flying,
I heard that there was snow coming in and everything, and I'm traveling by myself with the kids and the dog, so I wanted to get a head start.
Millions of Americans are trying to get a head start before Mother Nature has a chance to ruin travel plans.
Well, you could be in for some delays at the airport.
And Crystal Cly is standing by right now. She's got a look at our forecast, and the roads get the A-OK, at least around here, right?
Around here they do, but I've got your future track model, and we're going to track where those potential delays may hit and why coming up after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.